Let's go. All right, first tournament of the day. Or excuse me, first battle of the day. All right, looks like we have a mirror match here between Elemento and Yeeter. Both of them using Totem, Ranger, and Berserker on this more limited battlefield layout. Seeing an early Totem down from Elemento. In range of all three of Yeeter's characters. Let's see what Yeeter does here. Get a lot of support stuff going on. A lot of combo capability. All right, we're seeing an early combo here. We're going right after that Berserker. All three characters, boom, boom, boom. Brings down the Berserker to almost half health. The Berserker being a fairly slow character, you know, you want to get the most out of their support ability as soon as you possibly can, because if they get targeted and if they, you know, if they're done before their first turn, you know, that puts you on the back foot considerably. So Elemento Berserker is having a little bit of a hard time here. However, they do have 2 character rounds coming up next. So the Ranger and character 6, who is Totem, by the way. Elemento thinking about who they want to target here. A lot of good targets in this situation. Potentially could knock out the Ranger between the support abilities of the characters. Could maybe going right after the Berserker. So we're doing a little bit of mirror damage here. Elemento believing that they can come out on top with all of these combos. Using support here on Totem. Looks like we're looking for, there we go. We see a little bit of pressure release here with Steam. Getting that Berserker down to dangerously low levels of health. A little bit more damage than Yeeter was able to output. However, Yeeter does have character 6 ready to go. So Totem looks like they might just target that Berserker with, say, a melee attack or anything like that. Probably knock out that Berserker right now. And it looks like that's what they're going to do. Definitely enough damage. And we're in a 2v3 situation. However, Elemento is not that far behind, as we just saw. So that pressure release was enough to knock out Yeeter's Berserker without much of a problem. And it looks like Elemento might have the upper hand right now. However, due to certain stances being what they are, Yeeter was able to get in a little bit of damage on that Ranger without too much of a problem there. So definitely will make a big difference. Looks like Elemento is going to try to start whittling away at Yeeter's Ranger. Still supporting Totem. So it looks like we're probably going to go for a little bit of... we could see a pressure release here. That could be enough damage to knock out character 6. But however, it does look like Elemento is going to try to take that Ranger out as soon as they possibly can. The Ranger being a very dangerous character to have the last one standing bonus. So they might be a little bit hesitant to knock out that character early. Using that Disruptor Blade to try to knock back that character in the turn order. Back to Yeeter's Ranger. Both characters are wide open, ready for that quick shot. Going out for a full-out offensive there with that support. And Yeeter concedes. All right. That's the first match of the day. Gonna head on over back to the Discord. and check out how things are going. All right. Looks like we're gonna check out a battle between Follower and Alphen. All right. An interesting match of characters here. Berserker, Totem, and Shio on the left-hand side with Follower. Berserker, Totem, and the Chemist for Alphen here. Both teams using this Berserker on this limited kind of layout map. Some really good opportunities here for the Berserker to get in a lot of assistance. Looks like Alphen's going for a Berserker strategy against that new character, Shio. Going for like an anti-melee there with the Intimidate stance. All right, seeing some good melee combo going on with Shio. All right. We've got Totem up for Alphen. Looks like they're going to use a pressure release and get out of the way of that Berserker, who is causing a lot of problems for them. It's not over, though. We're doing a little bit of a trade blows, which is definitely enough to knock out Totem for good. Alphen kind of on the back foot here. And it looks like their strategy is trying to pump up that Berserker as much as possible and get off some interesting attacks. However, it looks like they're having a little bit of a problem with the placement of the Totem here, taking a lot of damage each round from that stance. Unrelenting Strike with Vigor is pretty good. 25 damage for a basic attack. But Alphen's going to have to do that quite a few more times in order to really take advantage of it. Doing a lot of damage there doing a lot of damage to Shio, but it might not be enough due to the turn order here. Follower using the Berserker's remaining health to their advantage as much as they possibly can, since that Berserker has a long way to go before it gets knocked out. All right, down to 1 health for Alphen. Is able to take out Shio and move out of the way. Let's see what happens here. Unfortunately, that Berserker is in the way of... it is in the line of fire for that Totem, so at any point, Follower can definitely take them out. They decide to do a little bit of that shock module there. And it looks like Follower is definitely going to use that trade blows and finish it out. All right. Look at that. Points up are already up on the board. How exciting is this? The great thing about this style format is that you can see how people are doing, really. Really tells the story if whatchamacallit. You know, if things are really close, it could have gone either way. So all right. Looks like one of our tournament participants has to leave here. So we will have a refresh bracket pretty soon. At some point. We'll have a refresh bracket at some point. It takes a little while. There we go. Refresh bracket. All good now. Hopefully we'll see a battle with Warrix at some point. Sorry, Warrix, it just sometimes happens with the layout. We'll get there. We'll get there. It's just the randomness of how these battles are generated in what order, so we'll get there. It is no problem. Well, I hope it isn't. It's our first time doing this tournament format, so we'll get that order going at some point. All right, looks like we have a battle between Elemento and Alphen, so we're gonna switch to that. All right. Let's go. Elemento on the left-hand side here with Ranger, Berserker, and Totem. Alphen with, Totem, Shio, and the Warrior. So we saw a lot of this strategy on Alphen's side during the last tournament. Let's see if it still holds up. It's going to be interesting in this kind of like wide open space in this battlefield with Elemento's strategy. Usually we see that in a more constricted format. However, the range damage output from Elemento's characters are definitely an interesting, a good strategy against the very anti-melee strategy that Alphen has going on here. So let's see how these two strategies match up. Elemento's taking a little bit of time trying to figure out who they want to start picking apart first. It's definitely a difficult question. A little bit easier to figure out now since Shio's fatigue is going to be added a lot quicker. And it looks like we are going to see some targeting of Shio early on here. And just remember that Shio will take fatigue one time each turn. So if you use like a combo attack, it's not going to apply fatigue twice. However, this is still going to be a lot faster fatigue than one is used to. Seeing a lot of of the Warriors' Sentinel stance being triggered here, but Elemento is definitely trying to knock out Shio as quickly as possible, no matter what the cost. Alphen has three characters going in a row here, so let's see who they start targeting here first. Plenty of opportunity to do a lot of damage, potentially knock out a character here. All right, looks like we're going for an anti-ranger strategy here. Not a bad choice, considering that the evasive stance is not up right now. Back to that Sentinel. And we've got Shio going right now. They have a few options here for what they want to do. Not so much of a high damage output character by themselves in terms of their basic attacks. However, their focus attacks can be particularly devastating depending on how your opponent lays out their characters. So just going for a standard piercing wit attack, just getting some solid damage in there. Piercing wit's a lot more effective when you have two characters stack up. However, we are seeing it, 10 damage is 10 damage. So if you can get that in, it's definitely worth it in a lot of situations. As we can see here, Alphen going for a strategy just to get Shio back on the back lines to remove those stacks of fatigue, getting them back up to full defense on both physical and elemental. So they're ready to go again. However, it looks like Elemento is going very hard and trying to do as much damage as possible there. It's not quite enough. However, with the support of the Berserker, we should be seeing Shio going down in this next round, probably with the Ranger's attack here. Just a nice and easy quick shot, probably. And then Berserker coming in for assistance, definitely doing enough damage. So we're in a 2v3 situation. However, Elemento's character is a little bit more damaged than Alphen's. You know, their totem and their warrior are both untouched right now. Elemento's Ranger going back to an invasive stance. Definitely a solid strategy here, because even though they're at low health, that evasive stance can be particularly devastating at a crucial point like this where Alphen really needs to make a comeback. Warriors up next. Just trying to go for that Ranger as much as possible. Got really lucky there. A solid hit. Only 4 health left. Back to Sentinel stance. Getting that attack bonus and the anti-melee defense. Elemento has 2 different targets here that they can definitely attack without much of a problem, since Totem is a ranged character. So we could be seeing a pressure release on one of 2 characters, or they're going to delay their turn. So they said, you know what, now's not a good time. Let's find another opening here. Looks like we're just going to see some quick shots from Elemento's Ranger right now, just trying to get as much damage out as they possibly can for the time being. Elemento's Berserker is up now. Berserker, being a melee attacker, is going to have a little bit of a difficult time here. They are going to take some damage, which they're not at full health anymore. They're at 2/3, so it's going to become a little bit more costly every time they go in for a melee attack. So every time they do this, they have to make it count. They are going to take 10 damage there. So they are going to make it count using a little bit of trade blows. However, it's not going to be quite enough to knock out Totem right now. So it looks like we are going to see... it looks like we're going to see a good focus ability from Totem. Is it going to be enough to knock out multiple characters? Probably not. Maybe. Who knows? But it's definitely going to be enough to knock out that Ranger, which is overloaded on everyone, taking them down considerably. This match just got a lot closer. And actually, it looks like Alphen has the upper hand here. A little bit of a pressure release there, trying to get out as much damage as they possibly can. Warriors up. Warrior will have no trouble picking off one of these characters right now, considering there is no Intimidate stance being used by the Berserker. So it looks like Elemento's Totem has last one standing bonus, but they might... Well, there we go. So that was enough damage to knock out Alphen's Totem. However, we're seeing a 1v1 situation where Warrior has pretty much full health. So Elemento is going to have to do something quick in order to get the upper hand here. As much pressure releases as you possibly can. It does do a decent amount of damage, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough in this situation. And that 20 damage is definitely going to be enough. So with the last one standing bonus and the attack bonus from the Sentinel stance, that was enough to knock out the last remaining health of Totem. All right. Let's get in there. It looks like there was a battle between Warrix and Follower. So we're just going to hop in there and see how that's going. It might be almost over. Who knows? But we'll try to catch up. All right, let's get in there. All right, a limited space on this battlefield. Warrix using the Warrior, Ranger, and the Chemist. Follower going for Shio, Totem, and Berserker here. An interesting layout from Follower. We're seeing a strategy with Shio that isn't used as often, being used as the main tank as opposed to basically relying on that Warrior for some additional defense. Looks like Follower is going to start going after Warrix's Chemist as soon as they possibly can. However, Warrix does have 2 additional characters in a row here, so they can target Shio without any issues. Really wearing them down pretty quickly here. Getting a lot of turns out of that Warrior. Lurking back up to take another turn relatively quickly. Just absolutely trying to wear down Shio as much as possible, and it looks like the strategy is working here. Shio getting in some decent damage with that Piercing Wit, removing a stack of fatigue. However, it might not be enough there. Moving back in the row. Getting a trade blows in there. Doing a lot of damage to that Warrior. Once again, using stances to their advantage, getting some support from the Berserker there. Vigor potioning up to try to get a big quick shot out of the Ranger, probably. And is definitely enough with that Vigor on that quick shot to knock out Shio. A sound strategy, but it looks like Follower is going to knock out Warrix's primary defensive capabilities pretty soon as well. However, will it be quick enough? We're probably going to see a trigger of Sentinel Stance here. Follower thinks it's definitely worth it. And I think so too. Follower coming from behind here in terms of health totals. However, they have the potential for massive damage output. Finally getting down that Totem. Looking to stun that Ranger as much as possible. It's not gonna quite be enough to knock them back in the turn order. The Follower is definitely gonna have to switch over their stance on that Totem as soon as they can in order to get some damage output maybe. But that Totem placement is a little bit in a precarious spot. Getting some good support there from the Berserker, dealing some decent damage. The Follower is going to have to try to keep both those characters alive as long as possible in order to get that combo out. However, that's not going to do it. So it looks like Totem is the last one standing here. But they're still trying to spread out that damage. They're able to go again with Disruptor Blade. So let's see what they can do. Trying to use that Disruptor Blade again, but it's not quite there. Chemist is up. Gonna use Vigor Potion there. And trying to lurk as much as possible to get another round up. Just picking away at Totem here. Looks like they're not going to be able to do anything at this point. Writing's on the wall. They are going to get a few more attacks out, but 7 health is difficult to 7 health is difficult to balance over, so not much they can do defensively at this point. Oh my gosh, it looks like I am absolutely being corrected here. So if they can get off one more attack here, and they do, we're in a 1v1 situation. However, Warrix is focusing up with that chemist, so we're going to see a flame blast soon. And we're probably going to see the end for Follower. However, Follower absolutely putting up an amazing fight here. Coming from behind in that health total. Choosing that stun module, but still, Flame Flask has some huge damage output. So not quite enough, but Follower, salute you, because that was absolutely crazy. That was a really good match. That was absolutely incredible. I was not expecting that match to come back as much of it as it was. All right. How are you guys liking this tournament format so far? Still really early in it, so everyone should be playing 6 matches, right? As far as I can remember. So it might be a little bit of a shorter day today, but it's not a bad thing. Definitely not. Just checking out some stuff on the back end real quick, and then we'll get into another fight. Excuse me. All right. Oh, let's watch a fight between Follower and Alphen real quick. Any chance we'll have Garrus as a special guest today? Sure, why not? Maybe after this one. I believe he's sleeping right now. I mean, when is he not sleeping? So we'll see. All right, let's get into this fight. All right, we have a fight between Elementor and Alphen on a more restricted battlefield here. As such, we're definitely seeing the Berserker on both sides. And Totem on the left there for Elemento. All right, we see that early totem placement from Elemento right in the center there, putting it in a really good spot, so they are able to put down that pressure release almost anywhere. If we want to see some focus abilities today, we should be seeing a pressure release, considering how much damage that's going to do. Elemento seems to be targeting that warrior as fast as possible. Alphen is definitely looking to get as many Berserker attacks out as possible here, considering that fact. So the Berserker will be surviving a little bit longer in this case. The warrior is focusing up, so we will see what that strategy is here. Alphen really locking down any kind of melee attacks here, making them pretty costly. However, Alphen is gambling about that warrior surviving until the next round, and I'm not sure that's going to happen. We're seeing a delay turn there, so Elemento can definitely get out a little bit more damage onto that warrior. Warrior's out. Didn't have to tack it much at all there in order to take out that warrior there on the last few bits of health. You could use delay turn to extend that turn timer. Actually, not the turn timer, but the number of rounds that happen. And so, that can start to add up when that totem is active. We see another pressure release here, particularly good against the Berserker that has very low elemental defense. Really gonna have to try to move that Berserker out of the way, and they do. Ranger is up. Let's see who they target here. Targeting the Berserker, since there's no penalty there, as the Ranger is ranged. Alphen really trying to get as many rounds out of that Berserker as possible. Let's see if they target Totem again, and they do. It's not quite enough to knock them out, but it's getting closer. Looks like they're gonna have to spend another turn doing that though, which is pretty costly at this point in the game. Picking away at that Berserker, who's also stunned and put back very far in the turn order at this point. Elementor knows this, so they're gonna stop focusing on that Berserker and instead knock out the Chemist as early as possible. Yeah, thanks, Elementor. The Ranger is ranged. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. And we see a decisive win from Elementor here against Alphen. All right. See what we've got next. We have another fight between Warrix and Follower here starting, so we're going to switch over to that real quick. Oop. Excuse me. And there we are. All right, cool. All right. Warrix on the left-hand side with a strategy that we've seen a couple times today with the Chemist, the Ranger, and the Warrior. Very classic layout. Follower with the Warrior, Totem, and the Berserker. See an excellent totem placement there on Follower's side. Able to target anybody with anything at this point. Really putting Warrix in a little bit of a tight spot there, an interesting L-shaped area where they cannot put units considering the battlefield layout. Looks like Warrix is definitely going to start targeting Follower's Totem, considering the dangerousness of this proposition with Character 6's focus ability. It looks like it's not going to quite be enough to take out Follower's Totem. So will we see some an interesting inspiration slash system overload combo before Warrix is able to take out Totem? Who knows? But could be exciting. Could go for a little bit more of a standard damage output here. By just using like a pressure release or something like that. But we won't know until they go. Look at the Warrior here. Depending on what they do here, could really decide the tone of the rest of the match. They are going to inspire Totem, so it looks like we are going to see a system overload. Perfect time to do it, considering that Totem is just about ready to leave the battle. 13 health is not that much considering these characters. Able to push all of those characters back in the turn order, leaving the Berserker up and ready to go here. Not a lot of attractive targets here. However, Follower did not let the Ranger's evasive stance deter them from targeting that dangerous character. So, seeing a lot of spread out damage here on Warrix's side. But let's see if Follower can convert that nice AoE damage into knocking out one of those characters so they can get an advantage on the action economy. Warrix has a lot to think about here, where they want to, they can focus up, they can use Vigor Potion, They can have their warrior go next. They have a lot of options, so they got to think about what is the best thing that they can do at this moment in time. They're a little bit cut off from their melee-based attacks there with that warrior, considering Follower is able to put Totem behind their warrior kind of last minute. All right, we're going to see a Vigor Potion and a Lurk there. Warrix just using that quick shot. Not quite enough damage to knock out Totem. So we might be able to see a little bit more damage output here. Now, it does look like there's going to be a lot of turns before that Ranger goes again. So potentially they could put down a Totem and start shocking them. But, you know, that's just one strategy. They could try to disrupt the turn order a little bit. However, that is not always a sure thing. Got a few options. Gonna try to disrupt that turn order. Doesn't quite do it, unfortunately. But now we have the Chemist up. However, Follower's Totem is not really in that much of a dangerous spot, unless Warrix does a little trick that I just thought of. So we'll see what happens. Gonna see another Vigor Potion there. And getting right back to that Lurk to try to go again a little bit faster. Thinking long and hard about what we're going to do with this warrior here. Again, not a lot of juicy targets on Warrix's side. Between the warrior's guard there and the ranger's evasion, it looks like Follower is going to focus up. They could be going for just like a big knockout attack against Warrix's ranger there, considering the new change to their stance. And Follower's warrior being at a lot of health. I say that now, but it's not going to be like that for long. Considering how much health they have, they're definitely going to be able to get out of focus ability pretty soon. All right, we are sentineling up. No longer protecting that Chemist. See what Follower does here. Still have options. A lot of options here. All right, we're going to Totem up and see if we can disrupt that turn order a little bit. Stunning that warrior. The warrior's already pretty slow. They've got a long way to go, so it doesn't do too much at this point. But it might focus, or excuse me, it might force one of them to move out of the way at some point. Looks like the Berserker's trying to go after that Ranger as much as possible, using trade blows, and that definitely pays off for them. Taking a lot of damage on that Berserker, but this definitely helps out in the long run. All right, Warrix is up. Kind of in a tight spot now that that Ranger's gone. All right, we're seeing the first instance there of some heals going. Heal was, their healing vapor was semi-recently buffed. So this is probably one of the first times I've seen it actually in use here. Still using that stun module to knock people back in that turn order. Warrior is up. Looks like you're going to use a shove there, dealing some decent damage to both characters. Follower not afraid of getting their hands dirty a little bit and taking some damage from that sentinel stance. Warrix still in a little bit of a pickle, not being able to take out Totem, who only has 5 health. Just using a decent slash there to soften up Follower. Back to a sentinel stance. Pretty much make sure that Totem cannot use Disruptor Blade. However, they are going to use that pressure release to activate their Berserker support there. Berserker looking a little bit rough now, but definitely making it work here. In this situation, it might be enough to knock out that warrior. It might not, but it looks like due to the combination of that pressure release's second damage output, they are going to be able to knock out that warrior. Even though he only has 1 health, it should be enough. However, Warrix does have their stance up that will heal him slightly. Is it going to be enough? I'm not sure, but the warrior has a little bit of time. A little bit of time. Excuse me. Warrix could go for a heal here. We haven't seen that too much, but we could also just see a nice solid flame flask, which could easily take out one of these characters without a problem. Honestly, I think Flame Flask could take out any of the 3 characters on Follower's side. Warrix just has to figure out which one's the best choice. All right, we're going to see a Flame Flask at the Berserker. Berserker is now out of the picture. It is now Follower's Warrior's turn right now. Warrior's going to take a hit no matter what right now, so they can either go after that chemist or that chemist or that warrior. Looks like we're gonna go after the warrior. That support only doing 5 damage. The chemist is getting a little bit low on health, but both sides here are a little bit worse for wear. The follower has to figure out whether or not the second half of that pressure release there is going to do enough damage to knock out that warrior. It looks like it might. So they could either pressure release the warrior right now to make it a sure thing, or they could pressure release the chemist to try to get in some extra damage there, since the pressure release should do the job for them. All right, it looks like they are going to use that pressure release to make it a sure thing, basically securing a couple more turns before that chemist can go. And it looks like Warrix is going to concede. Yeah, they were a little bit of a tough spot there, especially because of just a pressure release and a basic attack from the warrior probably would have done it, even with that stance, that healing stance being up. All right. So it looks like we are almost halfway through this tournament right now, with the results being pretty much even up for the most part. Follower coming out ahead in the early stages here with 2 wins out of 3. The other 3 contestants here are all at 1 win. Gonna hop on over to the Discord and see what's going on. All right. I'm just gonna wait for another game to start up. Then we'll switch on over. Just a reminder, there's only 2 rounds per person in this format. So we are counting every win that we get. So if you get a win, it counts as a point. So if you win 1 and lose 1, you get 1 point. And so on and so forth. If you win 2, you get 2 points. So this tournament gets a little bit granular, I guess, so to speak. I think Premier League and soccer does this. I don't know. Or excuse me, or football, depending on depending on which side of the pond you're on. I don't really watch soccer or football or whatever too much, so used to play a little bit back in high school, but don't really pay attention to it much anymore. All right, it looks like a battle between Warrix and Lamento is actually starting right now, so we'll switch over to that. All right. Warrix going for the tried and true layout there. Lamento going for the Berserker, Ranger, and Totem. In theory, Lamento should have the upper hand here, considering the layout, but Warrix has been pretty tricky and has taken away multiple tournament trophies, so let's see what happens here. Paul from Stray Basilisk dropping football knowledge on me. Apparently that's how they do it in a lot of different leagues. I haven't paid attention to anything like that since God, World Cup way back. I can't remember. I think it was the one that Germany took away. I can't remember, but it was a while ago. Again, back in high school. All right, looks like Elemento is targeting Warrix's Ranger, Warrix targeting Elemento's Berserker. Both great targets to start out, to knock out early, considering how much utility they give the team with their respective support type abilities. Warrix trying to get as many of those chain reactions going as possible there, with the Warrior attacking. Looks like we're probably going to see another Berserker attack right now. There we go. And the support from the Ranger is enough to knock out that Berserker early. So Warrix for now has the upper hand. However, Elemento does have 2 turns in a row with their Ranger and their Totem. So we could see Warrix's Ranger get knocked out early as well. So we'll be down to a 2v2 situation. Back to talking about soccer. Paul, did you play in school at all? Or do you play leagues or anything like that? Probably not right now, but in general. Seeing a little bit of damage being applied to the chemist there. Totem is now up. Let's see what they do. Looks like they are going to use a little bit of a pressure release and a support. A pretty good strategy from Elemento there, getting a little bit of extra damage out, knowing that the second half of pressure release is going to knock out that Ranger. However, not by much though, considering the stance that Warrix had up. So that was a very dangerous strategy. Okay, Paul, I wish I had the chat up here. Maybe I can put like the chat here at some point. Or maybe over here. Or I can't go that far, but maybe over there. That would be amusing. Oh, okay. Do you have Paul, do you have like a position that you play over others, or I'm just trying I'm trying to guess what position you play. I want to say midfield. Is that a position? Yeah, I guessed it right. That was midfield was all right for me. I played a lot in the back. A lot of, I don't know, do they call it defender? I can't remember. All right, we're back down to that 2v2 situation here. Warrix going after Elemento's Ranger there. And it looks like Elemento is going to target Warrix's Warrior. Let's see who gets there first. I guess I'm the person on the team that has the least amount of football knowledge. I just played a lot of defender. And me being a relatively short person upset a lot of very tall strikers, so to speak, I guess. I don't know. I got a couple of yellow cards in my day. I'll just say that much. You gotta defend that goal, man. Gotta do it, no matter what it takes. All right, we're seeing a Vigor Potion there. So we should be seeing a decent attack out of that Warrior. Yeah, Ranger's getting a lot of love during this tournament. However, you know, it does have a viable strategy. There is some viable counterplays against that Ranger. Just so people know. However, a lot of the Ranger's damage output does rely on... it does rely on having someone to support. So if they can't support anybody, they have a little bit less damage output. So having them be the last one up is definitely a strategy. However, if you get into a 1v1 situation with someone with a focus ability that does a decent amount of damage, you could be on the back foot. It used to be that having a Ranger as the last one was just kind of like a sure way to get a lot of damage in, but considering that their survivability is slightly less in theory right now, you know, that's just not always the case anymore. Kind of neck and neck here between Warrix and Elemento. It looks like Elemento is going to have a couple more rounds before Warrix's Warrior is going to be able to go. Deciding instead to stay in that Steam. We'll see what happens. Let's see if that gamble is gonna pay off there. Just trying to defend that Chemist as much as possible. See if Elemento reapplies some steam. They go for a Disruptor Blade. They can do a lot of stuff right now. Looks like we're going to see a Disruptor Blade knocking back the Chemist in that turn order. So their Ranger is able to go ahead of that Chemist. Dealing some decent damage with that quick shot real quick. And we're back to the Chemist, so it looks... Let's see what they do here. They could do a few things. It looks like we're going to get down to a 1v1 situation pretty soon, so they could focus up in preparation for that. They could apply another Vigor Potion, because it's kind of iffy whether that Warrior is going to survive or not. They could, but it's not always a sure thing. So Vigor Potion could be good. Giving them an adrenaline shot so they definitely have another turn is also a viable choice. And it looks like we are going to see that adrenaline right there. Now, the Warrior without focus is not the strongest character. However, you know, they can put out some okay damage. With focus, however, you get yourself into an interesting situation. They like a lot of damage, not quite enough to knock out Totem, however. Warrix opting to shift out of that position, putting themselves in a difficult place since they cannot take advantage of the healing properties from the chemist. They do get themselves out of the way of that steam. However, Elemento is just going to be able to apply that steam once again, and if they want to, they can switch on over to the other stance, which will shock them every round. So that damage could definitely add up. However, it does put the pressure off of Warrix's chemist here. And it looks like that is what we're going to see here. Ranger's up next. It looks like Warrix is going to concede. I think it was probably a little bit closer than Warrix originally thought, but definitely on the back foot there, going into the later stages with a chemist with no focus ability. So looks like Follower is pulling ahead slightly here in the matches. However, there's still plenty of matches for Warrix and Elemento to play here. So all right. Alrighty then. Let's see what's going on in the tournament. Just generating some more matches real quick. All right, we have one more fight between Warrix and Lamento that is just beginning. Switch on over to that. Let's see how they do on this next round. Looks like they are still picking characters, so we're just going to wait until they're done here. Anybody playing any interesting games lately? Anything new or exciting? Old and exciting? Some standbys. All right, Warrix with their good combo here. Still looking for opportunities here for them to capitalize on that strategy. Elemento also using the Ranger, but opting for Berserker and Totem here. So solid choice on both sides. Follower, you're playing 14? Final Fantasy 14? I started playing that. I do like it. I stopped playing. I played for like that first month and then it timed out. And I'm like, I got tons of other games to play. But I did like it, like coming from a WoW background. It was definitely a good change of pace, especially with like how early on in the character loadout that you can like move around and stuff, like during battle and AoE effects, and it was pretty cool. Maybe I'll go back to it at some point when I don't have like 1,000 games to play. Elemento trying to pick apart Warrix's strategy here by taking out that chemist as soon as possible. Warrix definitely going after that Berserker. As we can see right here, who has a ton of damage output. Yeah, follower. I wish I could just get to that end game in Final Fantasy 14 pretty quickly, because like the way that they introduce like spells and abilities and stuff like that, it's like it's not like super complex coming from like an MMO background. And I wish I could see some of that stuff a little bit earlier. But it, you know, it's always like it's just a time sink. But like, yeah, it's interesting because that stuff is just like, it's like comfort food. It's like mac and cheese to me, just like sitting down to an MMO and just trying to, you know, not so much the grind, but there's always something new and interesting to see. So it's fun. Warrix in a little bit of trouble here with that chemist. However, they are able to take out that berserker pretty quickly. Switching over to the chemist healing ability there has, I think, really started to make a difference in this strategy overall. Sea of Thieves. Yeah, Sea of Thieves is going well. We actually had some decent hijinks a couple of days ago for Sea of Thieves. We started off, because I usually have a group of 4 playing. And so we started off, and it was relatively uneventful until about halfway through of our playtime. We had some people who were behind us for like 20 minutes to a half an hour, just like chasing us. Then we eventually got to a place that we needed to go for a quest, and then they just like decided to like, well, before that, they were going to, it looked like they were going to try to ram us, but we had a person on our team jump out of our ship and get onto theirs and then pull their anchor real quick. So that was fun. They decided to like crawl in and just get within like shooting range, but not quite. Kept on missing, and then they started to come off and started to kill us, except for, it turns out 2 of the players wanted to grief us, and the other 2 just wanted to chill and hang out. So what happened was 2 of those players got into our ship, and then we just set sail, and we just had 6 people on the same ship for the rest of the night, which was ridiculous. Back down to a 2v2 situation here between Warrix and Elemento. Kind of the core characters in both of these strategies have been knocked out, I believe, or like that kind of special sauce here. Elemento a little bit in a rough place with that, with Totem. It looks like they're just going to be able to be knocked out right here. It's a little bit of a rough spot for Elemento, who does have that last one standing bonus on that Ranger, so they could probably tough it out if they want to, do some RNG stuff with that stance. It looks like they're going to be pretty lucky here in taking out the other Ranger. So it looks like they're going to tough it out and see how the RNG works for them. It's working for them so far, so let's go. But yeah, another Sea of Thieves talk. We ended that session that night with being attacked by a giant kraken for the first time. And so that was horrifying and a lot of fun, actually. So is it too late to change our studio name to Lost Snakes? It's pretty good. And Warrix comes out with a win here. Definitely due to the fact they were able to take out that Berserker really quickly, which really cut down Elemento's damage output. All right. Hop on over to that Discord once again. And it looks like Warrix is not going to be able to take a break here, because they're up next against Alphen. So let's go check that out, shall we? Oh man. Uah. Let's switch on over. All right, for the first time that I've seen today, we have an engineer in the midst of of combat. So we're seeing a tried and true strategy of engineer and ranger right here on Alphen's side. So we're going to see some trap action. We can see some arm pulls there. Arm hook, rather. Excuse me. And yeah, so let's see how this shakes out. Let's see who Warrix is going to target first. They might have a little bit of a difficult time getting that engineer down. However, they do have the ranger. So it looks like they are going to use the delay turn to try to get as many turns in a row as possible. So let's see what kind of strategy they're going to use here to get the most damage. Honestly, it looks like they might try to take out that Berserker really quickly. Berserker does not have a defensive stance up, so they are definitely a little bit open for incoming damage. However, that ranger is not in their defensive stance either, so both of them juicy targets as of right now. All right, and it looks like Warrix is going to go after that Berserker as soon as possible. And unfortunately for Alpha, it looks like Warrix is going to be able to move their characters out of the way of that trap. We're still thinking a little bit about who they want to continue to target here. Still going after the Berserker, still doing decent damage. Won't be quite enough to knock them out, though, unfortunately. Chemist is up, but did I speak too soon? I might have. So we are going to see another combo there from Warrix. Using the Chemist's adrenaline boost ability to the most, really. Unfortunately for Alpha, they're kind of stranded right now in terms of damage output due to the positioning of that trap. Let's see how they shift their strategy here. They got a couple turns in a row. Using a really costly defense break there. Ended up doing a lot of damage to Alphen's engineer. Ranger is up right now. We could see a different positioning of that trap. We could see a quick shot. Heck, even focus. Who knows? Mash is still relatively early. So we are going to see a quick shot there. We're probably going to see them going into the evasive stance, and they do that. Warrix sitting pretty right now. They have a lot of different options for what they can do. They can feel free to pick apart that engineer from range with their ranger, who's at full health. Or they could focus up to try to do some AoE damage. Still thinking about what they want to do. It looks like we are just going to see a quick shot there. got lucky on the RNG. It is in their favor, however. You know, doesn't hurt to be lucky sometimes. Warrix's Chemist is up. Could see a Vigor Potion. Could see a Focus. Could see a lot of different stuff. You see a Vigor Potion there, considering that the Warrior's turn is next. All right. RNG does not phase Warrix. Connecting on that first strike, which was pretty important. Not so much on that support. However, definitely still worth it. Both of those characters on Alphen's side getting relatively low. Gonna use delay turn there. Ranger is up now. Gonna replace that trap. And go back to the engineer. Doing one last ditch effort here to try to dish out some damage. Pulling that warrior back. Dealing some additional damage down to 2 health. It's not quite enough. Now, if Alphen can survive the next 2 rounds here, they can definitely take out that warrior, but they'll still be in, arguably, on a 2v1 situation, which is not going to be in their favor. They will have that last one standing bonus before Warrix can manage to do that. But it's going to be tough. Both valid targets for Warrix right now. Both the Engineer and the Ranger. Both at relatively low health. We're going to see a delay turn here. Chemist is up. Just gonna use Vigor Potion. They're really getting the most out of those attack bonuses. As you can see here, we have Vigor Potion up as well as the attack bonus from not executing that support stance. So this should do a decent amount of damage here. And we're gonna get the Ranger down to 1 health. It's not quite enough to knock them out. So it looks like Alphen is going to be able to take out that warrior right now. A lot of really tough breakpoints on both sides. All right, warrior is down. Back to an evasive stance. Focusing up on Alphen's side here. The odds are we're going to see another Vigor Potion here. However, we are going to focus up. So it looks like Warrix may be looking to take advantage of that sure thing in terms of knocking out Alphen's Ranger. However, Warrix does have another attack here, and they're going to use that. They don't need RNG. However, due to the speed differential between Warrix's characters and Alphen's Engineer, it looks like Warrix is going to be able to take a few turns, and a few absolutely core turns before Alphen can go. Vigor Potioning up. And a solid quick shot with a lot of bonuses there was enough to take out Alphen's last character. Solid match. Woo! So it looks like we are getting into these last moments here. Looks like a lot of people are tied up. Only 1 match for each person left. We only got a couple matches left, so let's see what we got going on here. All right, looks like the battle between Lamento and Follower is beginning. So we're gonna check that out. Let's go. All right, we're in. Almost a mirror match here, but the key difference being we see the Ranger on Elemento's side, and we see, and we see the Warrior on Follower's side. Boop. All right. Excuse me, just one moment. There we go. Just messing up the stream, don't mind me. All right. Elemento thinking a little bit about what they want to do here. Putting down that totem, activating the shock module to do some gradual damage to that berserker. It's going to add up by the time that berserker is able to take their turn. Let's see if we get a mirror from Follower here. We do not see a mirror. Instead, they are opting to get as much utility out of that berserker as fast as possible before it gets whittled down by that totem. Let's see what strategy here is faster. It looks like we're going to see a lot of different stances being activated here. We're almost tied up in terms of that health right now. So let's see if Follower is going to be able to use that Warrior and the last remaining health on that Berserker to knock out Elemento's Berserker. It might be very close. Probably not quite enough, but it'll definitely be very, 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 very close in this situation. Down to 3 health on that Berserker. You know, a stiff breeze could knock him over. But, I mean, the same thing could be said for Follower's Berserker in this upcoming turn here. Elemento not really able to do much here, considering that Follower is going to be able to use that Sentinel stance to attack first. Berserker is now up next. They're gonna have to move out of the way, because if they stay there, they're gonna be they're gonna be knocked out just purely, almost purely from that totem. You know, give or take a couple of hits. So let's see what kind of secondary target they're going to attack here. They can't really attack that Berserker at this point. Well, actually, you know what, they can, because I believe that's going to trigger after the attack. So they could do that if they want to. However, they're instead opting to probably just use Totem to do just that a little bit of poke damage there real quick. Moving that Berserker out of the way, however, the unfortunate thing about that is that it's still in pressure release range. So perhaps maybe putting that Berserker a little bit farther forward would have worked, maybe instead ahead of Totem. But, you know, it's a tough decision because they do get the defensive bonus being behind Totem. So, you know, there's different ways of looking at it. Looks like Elemento's already on to that second target now. Instead, looking to do some damage to Totem. See what Totem does here. They could, well, put down a Totem, or they're going to use that Disruptor Blade right there. Not quite enough to knock back people in the turn order. Just as a quick check here, this impose happens when you are hit, not before you are hit. So it's like an after the fact Sentinel stance. So potentially Follower could have knocked out that Berserker. Could be a misplay. Could be a calculated decision. I guess we won't find out until we see the results of this match. All right, Totem is up. Are we going to see another pressure release? Maybe. Who knows? And we do on that Berserker. So it looks like Elemento is going to be able to knock out that Berserker pretty quickly here. Just considering the defensive stats of that Berserker. However, the Berserker is pushed back really far in the turn order. So that pressure release might actually wear off before the Berserker is going to be able to go again. All right, Follower able to get off some additional attacks there with the Berserker, definitely making a difference in this particular situation. Warrior's up next, so let's see what happens here. They are going to take out that Berserker, so calculated by Follower probably. Definitely calculated there. Able to knock out the Berserker before they are able to really use that admittedly devastating focus ability. Elemento probably able to pick off that Berserker, but who knows? Could instead switch over to Totem, also a viable strategy. Especially considering that, oh, they're actually going to go after the Warrior. So trying to get in some chip damage there as soon as they possibly can, because a Warrior with the last one standing bonus can be pretty formidable, especially if they're at high health. They're just able to get out a lot of damage. Replacing that Totem. See what they do here. Gonna switch on over to that shock module, trying to pick away at that Warrior as much as they possibly can. It looks like Elemento is gonna go for a more long-term strategy here. Double dodge from the Ranger. This definitely puts things into a positive light for Elemento here with this matchup. We are seeing a relatively tight battle here, against all odds here. Getting off some quick shots on that Warrior. Not willing to leave that Warrior at full health by the time we get down to the last one standing bonus. Gonna see a pressure release there. And it's probably going to be enough. Well, it is going to be enough. It's going to do at least one damage. On the back half of that pressure release, it's going to knock out that character, putting down the Warrior to last one standing bonus, but they are at less than half health, so the Follower is going to have to output a lot of damage soon. They are going to be able to take out that Ranger. However, it looks like Elemento does have that last one standing bonus now. So we might see, depending on if they're able to survive, the next Warrior attacks, it looks like we could honestly see a pressure release to knock him out. Pressure release, or you know, we could alternatively see a focus ability to do a big ol' last hurrah. But it looks like they're just gonna go for a sure thing of pressure releasing that Warrior repeatedly, getting him down to very low health. It looks like, as far as I can tell, Follower's not going to be able to do much here. Still getting some decent damage output. So, you know, another couple of turns with that Warrior could have spelled the end for Elemento. Gonna have to move out of the way. There's only really one spot where they're not going to be able to be hit by that chip damage, but it looks like we're going to get a pressure release here. We're gonna see a pressure release. Who knows? No, we're gonna focus up. We're gonna see a big finish here. We'd love to see it. A big overload to finish out the match. All right. So we have the last match here. which I believe is between Warrix and Alphen. If Warrix wins this one, they will be facing off against Lamento for first place. If they lose, Lamento will take it away. All right. So we will be starting that pretty soon. However, in the meantime, Eris, come here. Come here. We have a guest appearance. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come here, buddy. I know. Oh no. All right, what do you have to say? Do you have anything good to say? Or you're just gonna stand there looking awkward. Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this? Yeah. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. What? Okay. We have to get to the battle soon. It's starting. I know. I can't have you here as well. Unfortunately. Maybe we can get you a Garrus cam at some point. Just people watch you sleepy the whole time. Alright, he's ready to go. He's ready to go. He's a good sport. He's a good sport. He's ready to go, though. Good boy, mister. Good boy. Alright. To the battle. Let's go. Alright, we have one last match between Alphen and Warrix here. So this could decide, or excuse me, is it Alphen and Warrix? I'm trying to figure it out. Hold on. Hold on. Did I do something wrong? Tell me if I'm doing something wrong. Let me know, please. I think I clicked on the right thing. All right, I'm in the correct battle. Thank you. I got really confused for some reason. It's all good. Just want to make sure. All right, looks like Warrix is going to start targeting Totem early. Alphen going for an interesting strategy here. We haven't really seen a lot of early Ranger focus stuff here. So we're going to see the Ranger focus up early and go immediately into an evasive stance. Interesting tactic that we haven't seen so much yet. However, it looks like Warrix is going to take advantage of that, looking at a relatively unprotected Totem here. Down to 10 health, and it looks like Warrix is going to be able to secure that kill very quickly using that adrenaline on the warrior here. Some early stuff. I mean, if Alphen had switched their stance over to something else, we could have seen, you know, this battle could have gone differently. However, we're seeing a very, very, very early knockout from Warrix here. Now, we haven't seen the chemist very much in the past couple of tournaments, hasn't really been favored, but it looks like Warrix has found a new strategy here within an old character layout that really does make the most out of support stances. Yeah, Warrix has a very aggressive strategy to knock out some support characters early on in the round. Alphen definitely getting some damage out there. Warrix really does rely on that chemist for this strategy. We'll see if Alphen can survive long enough in order to get a ton of damage output out. So they are focused up right now. So let's see if they use that right now or if they're going to save it later on. They're going to use it right now to get an explosive round out, do some AoE damage here. Back to an evasive stance. So Chemist is back in action, not able to use that adrenaline rush because they are not behind someone. However, they can quite easily use a Vigor Potion because their warrior is up next. Really, Warrix is relying on that warrior to be the backbone of their strategy. Their ranger is able to use their support stance off of warrior attacks. You know, the sentinel stance also helps out a lot in terms of protecting additional characters on that team, or at least enough so that your opponent's characters will take additional damage when there are melee characters around. So, that being said, this match is definitely not over yet. Moving back behind that warrior, doing a little bit of healing to make up for Alphen's AoE. Alphen's warrior taking quite the beating right now. They do have a turn coming up, so they're going to be able to get some additional damage out. And considering that Warrix has switched on over to a defensive stance that is guard, that chemist is no longer a valid target for the warrior, for Alphen's warrior. So they're going to have to do one of two things. They're going to have to switch over to that ranger who is pretty much unprotected, or they're going to have to go after that warrior. They are instead going to use Inspire, knowing that their warrior is about to shuffle their Mortal Coil. They're going to try to get another focus attack off of their ranger. Not quite enough to knock out the warrior there. So Warrix is going to have to take another turn with a different character in order to finish off Alphen's warrior here. Now we do see another explosive round, some additional AoE, dealing some decent damage, but Warrix still has 3 characters up. Alphen will be down to 1 here, so it's a very tough situation for Alphen as of right now, just because all of Warrix's, their entire engine essentially is still up and running. So they're able to get off a lot of support abilities and a lot of additional attacks. Let's see what kind of RNG Alphen can get out of this using using as many AoE attacks as physically possible in a short period of time. Using delay turn here. We see 1 dodge from Alphen. That's good enough for now. Warrix is up now. Gonna get that warrior to do another attack, so we have 2 additional chances to deal damage to Alphen's ranger. I mean, alternatively, they could just focus up and do the sure thing, but sometimes doing that a little quicker is better in this situation, considering how much damage Alphen is outputting with that AoE. So that's 1 hit, and that's 2 out of 2, putting Alphen in a very difficult situation. It looks like Warrix is going to have to take out Alphen's ranger right here, and they do. All right. Decisive win from Warrix. All leading from a very unfortunate stance choice really early in the game. So, you know, it happens. It definitely happens. All right. All right. It looks like we have the last battle of the day between Warrix and Lamento. This one decides it all. And also decides who's going to get a nice pixel art avatar. That I'm really excited to see how Brady, you know, how that what comes out of Brady's handiwork. So Brady is our pixel artist. So let's see what happens here. We'll switch on over once the battle is underway. All right. So, earliest, in my opinion, I think this tournament format is a success. Relatively quicker tournament. But still plenty of battles for everyone to fight. Let us know what you think about it. I like it because if you win, you get points. It's that simple. So, everyone fights everybody, and yeah, I don't know, I like it personally. All right, we've got the last match of the day here between Lamento and Warrix, so we're going to switch over to that and see what happens. Let's go. All right, Warrix with their strategy. We're going to call this the Warrix from now on. And Elemento with the Ranger, Berserker, and Totem here. Elemento definitely has a strategy that is tailored to this kind of layout here. Taking some early damage there from that Sentinel stance. But able to deal a lot of damage to Warrix's Ranger early on. Puts them down to half health there. All right. Warrix thinking hard about what they want to do there. They're going to delay their turn, so they have 3 characters going in a row. Elemento looking to finish off that Ranger as fast as they can. Are they going to be able to do it? And they are. All right, by an excess of 3 damage. That really puts Warrix on the back foot here. They were going to be able to get off a lot of attacks. With that Ranger, a lot of support damage, but they are down to 2 characters right now. Looks like Warrix is going to try to get rid of Totem as soon as possible, using that Chemist there to get the Warrior up and running as quickly as possible. Is it going to be enough damage to knock out that character, though? It's going to be close. It's going to get them down to 3 health. However, it allows Elemento to use that Totem early and potentially get a lot of damage output just from, you know, whatever they want to do here. They do have Sentinel stance up, though, so can't really target that Warrior early. However, they can target the Chemist as of right now, or they can just put down a Totem and start dealing some damage with that shock module. But we'll see what they do here. They got a lot of options, considering how long it's going to take for Warrix's characters to get back up in turn order. They do put down a Totem. Warrix, I believe in you. You're not that far off. Warrix is talking about their old strategy. I mean, it's definitely a good strategy. But all right. Whatever you want to do. If you want to call it now, that's totally fine. but you know, solid strategies here. I'm not sure if Alimento has disconnected, so let me know if someone can get a hold of them. Yeah, let's see what happens now, especially since I think Alimento DC'd, so. Probably a rematch should be in order at this point, because it looks like Elemento did DC at this point. So let's just see what happens. If anyone can get a hold of Elemento. Elemento is typing right now, but I think their stuff crashed. And they are back. So never fear. You guys decide what you want to do. Elemento, it seems like they're fine with playing this one out, so let them fight. It's all good. Let's see what Warrix can pull out of the bag here. Warrix is going to finish off Totem right here, so Warrix, I'm not going to give you strategy tips right now, but there is a way that you could potentially win. I'm just letting you, there is an option. There is a way. It is difficult, but there is definitely a way that you could potentially pull out a win, but I'm not giving you any hints. Which reminds me, I should put the chat up here, just so people can see what's going on at some point. Looks like Elemento might have disconnected yet again. They are up and running. And we're seeing a last minute quick shot here. Getting Warrix's chemist down. Yeah, the early game is super important for Steamhounds. So, you know, if you get an early knockout, it counts for a lot. Also, 3 health is an unfortunate break point there, so. So Warrix will have the last one standing bonus on their warrior, and it looks like, unless Alimento decides not to finish off that chemist. Which they are going to do that. So it's a 2v1 situation here. Last one standing bonus on that warrior. Able to put out some decent damage, all things considered. Elemental really looking to lock them out, though, with those stance choices. Some good RNG on Warrix's side. So we're seeing a very interesting situation here. One more of those, and Elemento's Ranger is out. We're going to focus up here. Elemento's Berserker is up now. They're going to have to chop through that Sentinel stance, though. are going to take a decent chunk of damage here. 14 damage onto that Berserker, using Unrelenting and a combination of that support to deal some decent damage to the Warrior. Right back up with that imposed stance. Ranger does have that focus ability as of right now. They're going to heal up and get some damage output so they can no longer be one-shot by that Warrior, putting them out of harm's way. Oh, we see a dodge from Elemento. Back to Sentinel stance here. And we see a concede from Warrix. It was actually getting relatively close there for a second, but very exciting final round here. So the final results here, we're gonna have Lamento taking first place, Warrix taking second, and Follower taking third. Good gain for everyone who participated today. Saw some really cool stuff. Some an old strategy coming in and causing people a lot of grief until that last deciding battle right there. You know, it just goes to show that you can find new strategies in old kind of stuff. Like, don't be afraid of going back to stuff that's not in the current meta. I thought we were going to see some slightly different stuff today, and I was pleasantly surprised. So definitely an interesting turn of events. Ranger pick rate. Saw a lot of Ranger today. That's all I have to say about that. even with the changes. So we'll see what comes out of the actual data. But people still really like that Ranger. Warrior also obviously a nice choice for some people. But as always, we will post the results of this tournament. So you guys can see pick rate, win rate, all that good stuff. Really like sharing stats with you guys. So you guys can see what we see, basically. So yeah. Yeah, if you guys have any opinions on how the Ranger is performing right now, just let us know. Personally, I think there could have been a couple situations where people could have used the focus ability slightly different so that you could knock out that Ranger a little bit earlier. But it usually takes a couple of patches for people to integrate new strategies resulting from patch changes. So we might not see that knowledge being used until next tournament. And that's fine. It just takes a while sometimes. Considering that the patch only came out Wednesday. so it's only been a few days. As people play, they're going to realize, they should be realizing that certain changes can affect how people, affect the overall strategy of what they can do. So maybe we'll see some more focus abilities at some point. Saw a little bit less of the Engineer Ranger trap combo. But it's only 5 damage. However, we have seen that a few points of damage can mean a big difference in when certain strategies are being used. So a lot less of the trap combo, but it's not from really a there was no nerfs on the Engineer, so in theory we still did see a lot of Ranger use, just not in that trap context. So we'll see how it goes. We might get into a situation when certain characters are introduced or certain changes are introduced, or certain gameplay features are introduced, which wink wink, which should be coming next patch. So look out for some new gameplay stuff. Also, a hint to people, you might want to check out Jason's last stream. You might see some interesting stuff that should be making it into the game pretty soon. So yeah, all aboard the hype train. All right. Any other comments about what happened today? We saw some interesting stuff. Saw my favorite ability there, the system overload, a couple of times, so I was happy about that. Pet favorite, just big AoE stuff is a favorite of mine, so. Yeah, I'm curious about whether if focus is being used more. That would be nice if it was, because there's some really cool abilities in that area. So there should be some changes coming to a couple of characters that will make their focus abilities a little bit more interesting, a little bit more valuable. So they're for older characters. So let's see what happens there. So you guys should be seeing that relatively soon. Maybe not the next patch, maybe the patch after that, who knows? But stay tuned on that. We've got a lot of interesting things coming up. At some point relatively soon, it would be nice to share more of a kind of like a developer roadmap type thing, just for like the next few patches. They might not have a lot of specifics necessarily, but we should be sharing with you guys in a more like official capacity what you should be expecting out of the next couple of patches. Or you could always just watch a stream where I give everything away. Because that happens too sometimes. But yeah, anyway, if you guys have like an idea for what you would like to see us doing for like streaming stuff, we're really trying to get up to I don't know how many followers we actually have right now. I'm gonna double check. I'm just gonna double check that real quick. Hopefully my sound is off so you guys can't hear this. Mute, please mute. There we go. Is off so you guys can't hear this. Nope, it's on. Now it's off. Hooray. How many followers do we get? I can't see for some reason. Jason, you'll have to 47. We got 47 followers. Holy cow. So I believe we need like 50 followers and like an average of so many viewers per stream. So and then I believe it's average viewers per stream. I don't even know. But yeah. So we're looking for some additional stuff that you'd like us to stream. So as of right now, what we have is Jason is streaming pretty much every Friday, I believe, for the like a dev stream, for usually for new features of the game, but sometimes for just fun prototypes of stuff. We have what was I gonna say? We also have the tournament every other week. So we're looking for an opportunity to stream a little bit more, just a couple of extra sessions, probably a month, to get us up there. And yeah, I'm just curious what you guys would be interested in. Just a reminder for Jason's stream, generally on Twitter, you can find us right here. Generally on Twitter, he puts out a little survey about what you guys would like to see him stream. So it looks like the popular stuff, it has to do stuff with the game, which I'm not entirely surprised about. That's pretty normal, but there's also some interesting stuff that he puts up there that he could possibly focus on. So yeah, feel free to just hop on in there whenever he puts out that survey and vote on what you want to see him do. So but otherwise, yeah, if you guys have an idea of what else you would like us to see, if you want to see us just play the game as developers, if you want to see some testing, I believe there's some other opportunities for some other development stuff that we could stream, you know, depending on what people want to do. I could just stream me playing games. I don't know, whatever you guys want to do. We're people too, so like it's not like we don't play games or do anything like that. I just don't know how much interest there is in that. So generally just yeah, let us know, drop into the Discord, whatever you want to do. So also, yeah, bring friends. The more people the merrier. I love talking to you guys, so just let us know what you want to do. What do you want to do? So when we hang out, yeah, Jason's posting the Discord and the Twitter links right there. If you haven't done so already, we're on Steam actually, and you can wishlist us. Definitely not released yet, but wishlisting helps us immensely. So if you want to do that, yeah, that would be really cool. What do we personally enjoy the most? I mean, I love doing tournaments, but like, you know, I just like being here and talking with people. So whatever's cool. I will say for there's some stuff that's a little bit more difficult to set up than others. The tournament isn't too bad. It does require at least two of us to be up, and like one of us needs to stream and the other one needs to actually set up the tournament on the back end and run that kind of stuff. Jason's development stream obviously only takes one person, but you know, that takes a little bit of planning beforehand to like keep it interesting and stuff like that. So if there's some stuff you just like to see us do or anything like that, that's like probably relatively easy to set up, just let us know. So I just need to be able to stream it. Oh yeah, okay, so I do have a question. How was the stream? Because my CPU usage has been relatively high. I'm not sure why. I don't know. I might have to downgrade this stream to 30 FPS instead of 60. Or I just have to mess around with encoder stuff at some point, which I might do instead of downgrading to 30 FPS. So all right, cool. If no one's noticing issues, that's great. Because sometimes I see some hitching up on occasion on my frame rate. But hey, whatever. If it works for you guys, it works for me. So anyway, it looks like we're just about done with this stream. Congrats to everybody that played today. You know, it really helps us out. You should be seeing a survey pretty soon from us. Just let us know how the tournament went. Yeah, so anyway, I will talk to you guys later. So until next time.